This is With That Moon language from 14th century Persian poet Hafez, inspired by Tuesday night's beautiful full moon. Admit something. Everyone you see, you say to them, "Love me." Of course, you do not do this out loud, otherwise someone would call the cops. Still, though, think about this great pull in us to connect. Why not become the one who lives with a full moon in each eye, that is always saying, with that sweet moon language, what every other eye in this world is dying to hear?
Good morning.
Good morning.
It is so good to be with you this morning. Wait, let me look, because I can't see my paper and you. So I have to look before you become fuzzy. Okay. It's very good to be with you this morning at the First Parish in Cambridge. My great-great-grandfather, William Hazel, became a member of this congregation more than a century ago. He was a Black Unitarian, an artist, an architect, and an educator, born south of the Mason-Dixon line in the era of American slavery. His family, my family, traveled up out of Wilmington, North Carolina in the late 1850s when William was about 4. They had been free in Wilmington, but the run-up to the start of the Civil War was a pressure cooker time for Black people in the South, free and enslaved, mostly, of course, for enslaved people, but also for free Black people who were suspected of sympathizing with the North, rightly in the case of my family. The family's free status was precarious. They were subject to re-enslavement as a result of minor infractions, real or manufactured. So they left Wilmington and headed first to Oberlin, Ohio, and then here to Cambridge. Along the way, the family encountered Black people who were active in the cause of abolition and freedmen's rights. They also encountered progressive Unitarians who were allies in the struggle. There is too much story to tell this morning, so I will only share this. William's life took him far. From North Carolina to Ohio, to Massachusetts and Minnesota, to New York, Alabama, and Washington, D.C. He became a stained glass artisan under the tutelage of John Lafarge. They worked together on some of the windows in Trinity Church in downtown Boston. William became an architect and an educator. Together with African-American architect Arbert Casal, he founded the architecture department at Howard University. And William Hazel was a rabble-rouser, a fierce advocate for civil rights wherever he lived. My great-grandfather was an accomplished man, but like any accomplished person, his achievement reflected the courage and community that supported his unfurling. And like any person aware of the gifts he had been given, William helped create opportunity for those around him and for many who came after. I know from my own family history that liberation is a team sport. We need one another to get free, to survive, and to thrive. I love the beautiful paradox of "I need you to survive." I love that song, I always have. And you never know whether I need you to survive or I need you to survive. And that's the beauty. The Reverend Dr. Howard Thurman once said, "The only refuge for a person is in another person's heart. Therefore, I must make of my heart a swinging door." And the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King reminds us that we are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny. My liberation and your liberation are bound together and bound up with the liberation story of all our neighbors. None of us can be truly free until all of us are free. So we come together as a people of faith and point ourselves in the direction of collective liberation. All right. I am a parish minister at heart, but I currently have the great honor of working at our Unitarian Universalist Association. In that spirit, I bring greetings from the 1,000+ congregations that make up our association, the network of Unitarian Universalists that brings our faith to life. First Parish is a member of the Unitarian Universalist Association of Congregations. And as many of you probably know, there's also a structure and a staff we call the UUA, people who we empower to serve our faith regionally and nationally. And I am one of those people. My ministry focuses on strengthening financial support for the movement through congregational giving and with individuals and families who wish to support the larger faith philanthropically at every or any level. The Unitarian Universalist Association has a mission to equip congregations for vital ministry, train and support leaders, and advance UU values in the world. These are things no congregation can do alone. We are far more together than we can ever be separately. So thank you for being part of the fabric of our shared faith. A strengthened Unitarian Universalism brings hope, healing, justice, and joy to a world in need of our values. There's a song that's been doing the rounds in UU circles for some time. It's called We Shall Be Known, and it begins, "We shall be known by the company we keep, by the ones who circle round to tend these fires. We shall be known by the ones who sow and reap the seeds of change alive from deep within the earth." The spirit of the song and the harmony break open on the lines. It is time now. It is time now that we thrive. It is time now. And what a time to be alive. In this great turning, we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning, we shall learn to lead in love. What a time to be alive. It's been a rough stretch of years. A global pandemic, our nation's capital overrun by insurrectionists, startling threats to democracy abroad and at home, from the invasion of Ukraine to the attack on Israel, the unfolding humanitarian nightmare in Gaza, and sustained attacks on voting rights at home in the US. Assaults on LGBTQ rights have reached fever pitch. Roe v. Wade was struck down by the Supreme Court, and every year my dear home state of California burns. In such a time, what does it mean to lead in love? How shall we shape our ministry together? My daughter Aaliyah offered me some wise instruction on this subject when she was just 3 years old. Aaliyah is a sunny and loving person. She also has a singular way of speaking. When she was littler, she would latch onto certain words and infuse them with her own shades of meaning. For a while, she was especially fond of the word choice. If, for example, my husband suggested that they go out for hot cocoa, Aaliyah would nod approvingly and say, "That will be a good choice." And if I informed her that it was time for her nap, she was apt to bellow, "No, that will be a bad choice." One of the beautiful things about a toddler is that you always know where you stand. Aaliyah also bestowed nicknames liberally, and they were often relational. Like, I would be her mama bird, and she would be my girl bird. I would be mama worm, and she would be baby worm. There's a book series by children's author Mo Willems about an elephant named Gerald and his best friend Piggy. After her first encounter with one of these books, Aaliyah decided that I should henceforth be known as Gerald Princess instead of Mama, and she would like to be known as Piggy Chickworm. This is all very important backstory if you are to understand the conversation that took place between us one morning before we sat down to breakfast. Aaliyah was sitting at the dining room table, and she turned to me and said, "I love you, Gerald Princess, and I love our whole family." I was singularly stressed out that morning, but I looked back at her and I just melted. I love you too, Piggy Chickworm, and I love our whole family too. That will be a good choice, Aaliyah said. Then she paused and she pointed to a blank piece of paper on the table. "Let's put our love choices right there." And then she did, tapping the paper with her fingertips and saying, "Put, put, 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 put." Dutifully, I placed my fingers on the table alongside hers. "Put, put, 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 put." She said, "Let's put our love choices right there." And then she did. My daughter's words were a clear teaching for me about a ministry of love. Sometimes it is so much simpler than we make it. Faithful leadership requires that we choose a path with love, a path with heart. Effective leadership demands that we manifest love in wise and concrete ways, that we choose to give our love where it's needed. This is a delicate moment in Unitarian Universalism, a time of risk and opportunity for faith communities that have been strained by the challenges of the last few years. But congregations matter. You matter. I love you, First Parish. I need you to survive. I need you to thrive. It matters that faith communities are here to shelter all of us who have been buffeted by life and who still want to make the world a better place. All of us who need comfort and inspiration to live fully into our days and offer our blessing into the world. This year, 2024, is a critical year, and this fall is a critical stretch of months. It is an election year in a time of massive threats to people, communities, and the planet. Our democratic institutions shelter the well-being and opportunity of millions of Americans and impact the lives of people across the globe. They produce policy that can protect or destroy the natural world. Let's put our love choices where it matters, into the communities and institutions that hold us and protect our neighbors. A few years ago, my husband Chris and I went to see the Broadway show Hamilton in New York, thanks to the generosity of my brother and my sister-in-law. It was the best Christmas present ever. There's a line in the show that becomes a motif. Angelica Schuyler sings it first. She's the daughter of a wealthy, influential man in colonial America, and she is captivated by the revolution. She and her sisters, Eliza and Peggy, enter the stage. Eliza and Peggy sing about the danger in the city, the chaos associated with civil unrest and impending war, but Angelica sings, "Look around. Look around, look around at how lucky we are to be alive right now. History is happening in Manhattan." It takes a special spirit to look around in a time of danger and uncertainty and see opportunity. Opportunity to make life better for ourselves and our neighbors, which, spoiler alert, means everyone in the human family and the planet on which we live. We are at a watershed moment in our faith and in our history, a crossroads and an inflection point. Our choices will determine our future. Not so much our choices about how to think, but our choices about how to act. The choices we make to show up for and with others. The choice to listen deeply and share honestly. The choice to restore relationships and reconstitute communities. The choice to be global citizens and to celebrate the glorious diversity of humanity and the natural world. This moment asks that we move fully into the prophetic and pastoral role of the church. that we accept the gifts of this day, however dubious, even the most painful gifts, and choose to lead from that place in love. We begin by getting clear about what we value. I value strong communities, resilient communities capable of facing challenges with resourcefulness, fidelity, collaboration, creativity, and joy. I value the power of strong communities to hold and heal people and call us forward toward service and connection. This congregation has a long history of participation in the social movements of the times. I know that firsthand. You show up for climate justice, for racial justice. You show up for each other, for your neighbors, and for democracy. I am so grateful for your commitment. This fall, I know that many of you are joining the national effort to UU the Vote, and I hope that more of you will be inspired to do so. Are there some UU the Vote volunteers in the house? Just raise your hand so we can thank you. Thank you. I saw these in the entry. It's really incredible that you show up in whatever way you can. Our ability to make progress on the issues about which we care deeply, climate justice and voting rights, human rights for immigrants, LGBTQ rights, reproductive rights, all of it hinges on the vitality of democracy at the local, state, and federal level. During the UU the Vote 2020 campaign, Unitarian Universalists in 450 congregations all over the country built relationships and made phone calls and wrote letters. UU's made over 3 million contacts with prospective donors to get out the vote, register and educate people, and engage in values-based conversations. Volunteers, UUA staff, and organizing partners mobilized again in 2022, culminating in what one of our volunteers joyfully refers to as the miracle of Georgia. This fall, the postcard parties, phone and text banking continue, and scores of volunteers are knocking doors and talking to their neighbors in person, a new evolution as we move out of the most acute phase of pandemic. Together, we are organizing to make a difference, building skills and growing relationships. We, all of us, need to use every tool we have to protect freedom for all people, to express our affirmation of human worth and dignity by co-creating societies in which all people can thrive. We do this together as an act of love, as an expression of gratitude for the gifts we have been given and the sanctity and beauty of life itself. What a day we have been given. What a time to be alive. A while back, I shared a story, a children's book called The Journey, with a group of UU kids. I began my ministry as a religious educator, and it's still a part of my ministry that I hold dear. And I hold the ministry of congregations to children, youth, and families dear. So thank you to any of you who have ever been involved in that ministry in this community. So I shared a children's book called The Journey with a group of UU kids. It's the story of a refugee family fleeing violence and searching for a safe new home. The plot of the story is pretty simple. A mother takes her children and flees from a war zone. They travel in secret, crossing borders, leaving pets and belongings behind, interacting with smugglers and border guards. It is a treacherous journey with many twists and turns, just as the journey out of Wilmington, North Carolina, up into Oberlin, Ohio, was treacherous for the members of my family more than a century ago. At the end of the last boat ride, the mother spots land. And as the story ends, one of the children looks up and sees a flock of migrating birds. She says, "I hope one day, like those birds, we will find a new home, a home where we can be safe and begin our story again." I closed the book, and one of the kids in the class hollered out, "It's a cliffhanger." "Exactly," I said. "And what's a cliffhanger?" "It's a story where you get to make the end yourself," another kid chimed in. This is true. They were really that smart. "True," I replied, "and that is a lot like life. And that is one of the reasons that faith communities, that congregations like ours exist. There are stories going on all around us, stories about the earth and her people, and the endings have not yet been determined. So we come together to learn to become the people we need to be, so we can help those stories end with love and equity. We come together to learn how to be braver and kinder and wiser, to become the one who lives with a full moon in each eye that is always saying with that sweet moon language what every other eye in this world is dying to hear. We come here when hard things in the world break our hearts, and we need consolation and encouragement to begin again. Thank you for all the ways that your presence strengthens this congregation. Thank you for the ways this congregation strengthens Unitarian Universalism and our shared ministry in the world. What a day we have been given. Look around. History is happening. Liberation is a team sport. Let's put our love choices right there. It's time to thrive. Today and always, may it be so. Amen.